What's up guys, this is one of the recent pieces that I posted on my Instagram, and today I'm going to be talking over the speed painting video for this piece and explaining how I try to capture mood and atmosphere in my digital studies. On the right side you can see that is the original photo that I found from Pinterest, and what really attracted me to this picture was the nice soft orange light coming through the window, and I felt it created like this really nice contrast between the subject and her surroundings, which was kind of like dark and muted. And the photo actually made me think about a lot of my personal experiences with commuting, because I lived towards the end of a bus route, and I would find oftentimes the other passengers would have left one by one, and I'm still on the bus. I'm the last person on the bus. It's a really calming and peaceful feeling, and I wanted to try to capture that with this painting. So the first thing that I decided to do in order to capture this calm feeling was take out the passengers in the background. The environment can say a lot about the story that's behind the painting. I experiment here a little bit with the handles in the foreground like you saw in the reference photo, but I didn't really like that because for this picture I wanted to show the emptiness of the train, and having too many objects cluttering the foreground would take away from, I think, the background of the picture. In this way, the environment actually can tell a very compelling story. What you do with the environment can actually say a lot, and surprisingly, sometimes the environment can actually say more than your character can. This is why when I'm painting a piece that I want to tell a story, I like to not think of the environment as just a background. I know a lot of people, myself included, we would do a character, we would render them out first, and then we would go in to do the background. And I find this to be a very limiting technique because the background itself can say so much about the character and the story and the mood. This is why I always paint my backgrounds first, because when I'm trying to tell a story, I want to know where that character is and how they are going to fit in the environment. I almost like to think of the environment as a secondary character. Because the things that you can put in the environment and the things you can do with it give it just as much character as your main subject, and that is super important to storytelling and the mood that you're trying to create. Another reason that I choose to work in this order is because when I can figure out how the lighting is going to look in the environment, it becomes a little bit easier for me to eventually apply that to the main subject. And moving on to the character. So for the character, I decided to keep the standing pose from the reference photo. And you might think like that doesn't make any sense. There are so many empty seats around her. Why isn't she sitting down after a long day of hard work? Like what is you doing? But with the standing pose, with all the empty seats around her, and she's still choosing to stand up to take a look outside at the sunset, even after presumably a long day at school or work, it's like she's appreciating the small things, you know? And I wanted to capture it like she's able to find peace in an environment where you normally wouldn't find peace. The subway is really loud and crowded and packed, and you can hardly even get a good sleep on there. And that's what makes this moment even more impactful in my opinion. Like, I'm trying to use our preconceived notion of what a subway is like and juxtaposing that with this moment of peace that you normally really wouldn't expect in an environment like this. Throughout this whole process, you really want to keep in mind the original mood that you were going for, that you wanted to convey, and keep reminding yourself of why you're painting this and what's the message behind it. I like to keep doing this because sometimes when I'm painting, I can find that my painting doesn't match the original vision if I go on for too long, and sometimes, I just go off the beaten path and the painting turns into something else entirely, right? And it's not satisfactory. One thing that I like to do to help me stay in the right mindset is I would put on music that matches the mood that I'm trying to go for. So if it's a sad painting, put on some sad music, sad boy hours. And if it's a happy painting, I'll put on happy music. If it's like a painting with a lot of energy or power, then maybe like some EDM and rap. A lot of you guys might do this already. I know most people like to listen to music when they draw. So if your music is able to match the mood of your painting, then that's awesome. You're going to be able to feel what you're trying to go for. And that's just something that I like to do when I have a painting that has a very specific mood that I'm trying to capture. And I like to get myself into that mindset. So you can see on the screen here, my character is looking pretty detailed, fairly refined. So now I'm moving on to addressing the lighting a little bit. Now the lighting is something that I keep in mind throughout the entire process of the painting. I try to look for the different colors and values present in the light sections of the photo, as well as the different colors and values present in the dark sections. And that's how I get a sense of the lighting. So basically, I don't think of it as lighting. I think of it as different colors and values and shapes of colors that you apply together, that create the illusion of light. So in the example here, you can see the subway window. It's like a rectangle shape of a blend of light beige and pink colors, and it's surrounded by this really dark purple, almost bluish kind of color. And when the two come together, that contrast is what really gives you that feeling of light, that illusion, right? It's not actually glowing, but it looks like it's glowing. It is all a lie. So in this particular case, I wanted the orange to look a little bit more vibrant than it did before, and how I did this was through a hard light layer in Photoshop. When you apply a color in a hard light layer, it appears more saturated than it would in a normal layer, and that's exactly what I needed in this scenario, because I wanted to accentuate that orange a little bit more. So what you see here right now is I'm applying a multiply layer to the interior of the train, and what the multiply layer does is it basically darkens the environment for me so that it creates a little bit more contrast between the light and the dark, and this is going to help me bring out the vibrancy of the orange light even more. And here you're going to see me address the outside environment a little bit, but I try not to go into too much detail with this because it is the focal point of our main subject. That's what she's looking at. And naturally the viewer is going to wonder, like, what could she be looking at, right? Like, what is the scene outside of that window? And I don't want to address it too much because I wanted to leave it up to your interpretation. And you'll see me adding some glorious God rays here. This just makes it look like that light is really piercing through that window and reaching the inside of the train. And this is also done on the hard light layer. But when you're applying an effect like this, when you're applying, say hard light or soft light or color dodge or whatever, you don't want to, like, it looks cool. The effect looks super cool. It makes your painting look so saturated, but you don't want to get carried away with it, because as soon as you overdo it, it's going to look like your whole painting is glowing, and you don't want that. And yeah, this is how I try to capture mood and feeling in my photo studies, and this is basically the thought process that I go through, and I thought I'd share it with you guys. So let me know what you think, and also let me know if there's other topics that you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to cover them. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video, and here is the final painting.